Today, we're diving into a real economic detective story. It's a mystery that stumped policymakers for years and made them question the very tools they use to manage our economy. So imagine this. You have a headache, you take an aspirin, and the headache gets worse. Sounds completely backwards, right? Well, for decades, when economists looked at the data, they saw something just as strange happening with one of the most important tools we have for economic health.
And it all starts with what's known as the inflation paradox, a fundamental clash between what economic theory says should happen and what the data was actually showing.
Okay, so the textbook playbook for fighting inflation is supposed to be super straightforward. Step 1, the central bank raises interest rates. This makes it more expensive for you, me, and businesses to borrow money. As a result, people and companies spend less, things cool down. And with less demand for goods and services, prices stop rising so fast. Inflation falls. Simple, logical, makes sense.
But here is where our mystery really kicks off. When economists built models to test this very theory against real-world data, they kept stumbling on this totally baffling result. Sometimes after a rate hike, prices didn't fall. No, they actually went up.
And look, this wasn't just some abstract puzzle for academics to chew on. This was a massive problem for the people actually in charge of managing the economy. I mean, if your main tool seems to be backfiring, how can you possibly steer the ship with any confidence?
This perplexing result eventually got a name: the price puzzle. You pull the very lever that's supposed to bring prices down, but instead, the data models show them climbing, sometimes for months on end. So on the one hand, you have the theory we all learn. Rates go up, inflation comes down. Simple. But on the other hand, you have this puzzle that kept popping up in the economic models. Rates go up, and prices also go up, creeping higher for quarters, sometimes even for years. This is the heart of our mystery.
Now, the first big clue in this case came from the brilliant economist Christopher Sims. His theory was maybe the central bank was acting on information that the model just didn't have. For example, what if the bank's own internal forecasts were screaming high inflation ahead? Well, they'd raise rates to get ahead of it. The model, which was blind to that secret forecast, just saw a rate hike followed by inflation, and it incorrectly concluded the hike caused the inflation. A very clever and plausible suspect.
But what if the problem wasn't about what the central bank knew, but about a fundamental piece of data the model itself was just completely ignoring? A new theory pointed to a different suspect, one of the economy's missing vital signs. In a 2004 paper, economist Paolo Giordani offered a groundbreaking alternative. He basically said, hey, this whole price puzzle thing, it's not real. It's spurious. It's an illusion. And it's an illusion created because our models are missing one key variable, something called the output gap. The problem wasn't the economy. It was the model we were using to look at it. So what on earth is this mysterious output gap? It's actually a pretty intuitive idea. It's just the difference between how much an economy is producing right now and how much it could be producing if all the factories were humming and everyone had a job. You can think of it as the slack in the economy.
Let's make this even clearer. The tall bar here, that's the economy's potential. The shorter bar is what it's actually doing. That little difference between them, that's the output gap. Think of it like this. If GDP is like a patient's weight, the output gap is their temperature. It tells you if the economy is running hot or cold, a critical vital sign the models were just flat out ignoring.
It's a fantastic theory, right? But the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the data. So what happens when we finally put this missing vital sign back into the economic models? Let's take a look. All right, take a look at this chart from Giordani's paper. It shows the puzzle in all its glory. That dashed line represents the old model, the one without the output gap. You see the central bank raises interest rates, and boom, prices go up. The price puzzle is right there, clear as day.
But now, for the big reveal, the solid line is the new model. This is the one that includes a measure of the output gap. And just like that, poof, the puzzle vanishes. After the rate hike, prices fall, exactly like the textbook says they should. This is the smoking gun that solves our entire mystery.
So what was actually going on this whole time? Well, it was a classic case of mistaken identity, confusing correlation with causation. See, the central bank tends to raise interest rates when the economy is running hot, right? That is, when the output gap is small or positive. Since the model couldn't see that output gap, all it saw was the interest rate going up right before inflation did, and it drew the wrong conclusion. The rate hike wasn't causing inflation, it was just a shadow, a proxy for the real culprit the model was missing.
Okay, so we've cracked the case. It's a great aha moment for economics. But why does solving this particular puzzle actually matter to us, in the real world?
Well, for one, it neatly ties up all the old loose ends. Remember that first theory, how adding commodity prices also seemed to solve the puzzle? This chart shows exactly why. Commodity prices, that dashed line, are super tightly correlated with capacity utilization, the solid line, which is our measure of the output gap. So adding commodity prices worked, but not for the reason they thought. They were just another proxy for the real missing variable.
So when we boil it all down, what are the big lessons here? First, it's a huge reminder that just one missing piece of the puzzle can completely warp our understanding of the entire economy. Second, it proves the output gap isn't some abstract term. It's a critical vital sign for economic health. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it shows that getting our economic models right isn't just an academic game, it's absolutely essential for making smart policy decisions that affect all of our lives.
And this leaves us with this one last kind of mind-bending thought. The price puzzle, it turns out, wasn't really a puzzle about the economy at all. It was a puzzle about our models of the economy. And it makes you wonder, what other great economic mysteries that we're all debating today are just phantoms, created by a single crucial piece of information that we just haven't thought to include yet?